Story 1. I love my wife, but I can't stand my kids. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. Thanks. My wife and I were married for 7 years before we started having kids. We knew that we had different opinions about kids from before we got engaged. She wanted a big family, at least 3 kids. I wasn't all that into kids in general and thought 3 would be a lot, but I also figured that fatherhood is a pretty normal part of adulthood and that I didn't feel strongly enough to deny her the kids she wanted so much. Big mistake. Our kids just enrage me from morning to night. They are so loud, they don't listen to anything I say, they shout over me and one another, they hit, they break shit all the time, and they just suck the joy out of my waking hours. Before we had kids, we traveled a lot, went out and enjoyed each other's company. Now, we argue over parenting, money, and who is more exhausted and overstretched. I am thoroughly unhappy and can hardly muster the energy to get out of bed in the morning to face these days. I still love my wife and relish when we can have some quiet time to ourselves and recharge, thank God for grandparents. But every day there comes a point where I wonder if everyone wouldn't be better off if we split. I'm not making my kids lives better by being here, and my mental health is wrecked. Guys, don't think that you can just adapt to parenthood if kids aren't something you really want. You need that drive to make it through, and it's not just going to magically appear. It's hard to uncouple from someone you love over this, but better to do so before you're in the thick of it. Story 2. Am I the jerk for making my niece eat in the living room? False. My sister is a single mom who works long hours, so I watch her daughter Ava, 14F, after school and feed her dinner alongside my family. I am happy to do this and normally get along great with Ava. We're both bookworms. She has our feed and eats a very limited number of things. It's not that she has things she won't eat, more that there's a specific list of things she will eat. For the past 2 years I've been watching her. I've balanced Ava's needs with everyone else's by modifying meals because I want her to be fed, but at the same time I'm not restricting my family to the few dozen things Ava will eat. For instance, if I'm making broccoli, beef, and carrot stir fry, I'll cook the beef and carrots first, take out a serving for Ava, then add the sauce and broccoli for the rest of us. If I'm making mango chicken, I'll bake an extra chicken breast plain for Ava. If a meal can't be adapted at all, I make one of her safe foods. This was going fine until a month ago. I baked a lasagna and made extra meat sauce, so Ava got meat sauce on spaghetti and the rest of us had lasagna. But when I cut into the lasagna, Ava made a face and said it looked like a separating wound. I told her nice vocabulary word, but you're not allowed to be rude about my cooking. You don't have to eat it, but you can't be nasty about it and spoil everyone's appetite. She looked unhappy but subsided. A week later, I made dal curry. She had frozen pizza and she said it looked like diarrhea and smelled like ass, and I reiterated that being rude about my food at the table was unacceptable. This time I told my sister, who said she'd talk to her. Days later, I made chicken, broccoli, rice casserole. She had chicken and rice and she compared it to cat vomit. I told her that if she couldn't be polite, she'd have to take her meal to the living room and eat it there. She went. I again told her mother. 2 days ago, I made Thai green curry for the rest of us and a sandwich and side salad for Ava. She took a look at the curry and opened her mouth. I cut her off and asked if she was capable of being civil at the table, and she sort of shook her head, so I handed her her sandwich and pointed her to the living room. She made a face but went. Last night I got a call from my sister saying that I'm being cruel by banishing her daughter because she has a disability RFeed. I said I wasn't banishing her because she had RFeed, I was banishing her because she was being insulting. My sister said that her daughter shouldn't have to fake it and that family shouldn't have to eat alone. I said all I was asking was for her to not say anything about our meal. My sister says I'm being insensitive to how hard it is for her to be surrounded by things she thinks are gross all the time, that I should be more accommodating, and that she's just a kid and I should be the mature one and not bully her. Story 3. Am I the jerk for telling my husband we can't take a big trip until he loses a massive amount of weight? False. My husband is an awesome guy and my best friend. He's always been heavy. When we started dating, he weighed about 250 pounds, wanting to get down to 200. Now he is over 400 pounds. There are a lot of things that contributed to that, but that's another story. We recently set a goal for visiting all US states and maybe even doing some more international travel. I would love to visit Iceland, Europe, cruise the Caribbean, and hike in Alaska. I actually hike through Colorado every few years. It would be amazing to visit all my favorite parks and do some beginner trails with him. We went to Washington, D.C. in 2018 and it was rough. He was able to do some of the touristy things but needed to Uber between each one and our hotel. Same thing when we went to Chicago. We were 75 miles away from our hotel and with peak traffic and Uber was like $25, but he hit his walking limit. When we went on our honeymoon cruise, we hardly left the boat. A lot of activities had a limit of 275 pounds. Even last time we flew, he couldn't fit in the seat and had to fake wearing his seatbelt by tucking it into his stomach. I don't want to risk losing a flight. If we are spending money, like thousands, to go to Alaska, I want to be able to see Alaska. The topic of booking a trip came up and I was upfront that we need to lose weight and get in better shape first. I bought an elliptical, weights, and we have a bike. I have talked about getting a gym membership, but he's not interested. I refuse to book any big vacations until we are both physically ready for the adventure. For him, that's losing about 100 pounds to fit on the plane. He didn't take this super well. Am I the jerk? I'll take any advice as well. Story 4. Am I the jerk for being all over my husband at dinner with my family because my aunt was telling everybody we were divorced? Our marriage had a rocky start, but things are better between us now. My husband never normally comes to events with my family anymore because he has issues with my dad and brother, so we thought it was better for our marriage and my relationship with my family if I go alone. My extended family haven't seen him in over 3 years and my aunt was convinced I'm divorced for some reason. I didn't actually realize she thought I was divorced until she told my cousin she would be divorced at 25 like me if she didn't wait until they were older to marry her fine. I was offended and upset, especially when she refused to believe I was still married, so I pretty much begged my husband to come to dinner with my family to prove a point. During the dinner, I could tell he didn't want to be there and he was being a lot more touchy than normal, so I was being more affectionate to show I appreciated him coming and to prove a point to my end. I warned my dad and brother that he would be attending and they both promised to behave, but they still ended up having a fight with him because my brother rudely asked me if I had to be all over him and that he didn't need to see some jackass grope his little sister. In hindsight, I should have predicted my family would have reacted like that since I know how they feel about my husband, so I should have toned it down, but was I the asshole? Story 5. Am I the jerk for asking my sister to clean out her office so I can have a bedroom? I am 36, have recently became single, and she kicked me out of the house because the house belonged to her and she paid for it. I currently don't have a job, so couldn't pay for a deposit to rent a flat. I asked my sister, Janet F32, if I could move in with her temporarily. She wasn't happy at first, but after our mom spoke to her, she agreed. The issue is she only gave me the couch and not a bedroom. She lives alone in a 3-bed flat. The issue is she converted 2 of her bedrooms into her offices because she runs a business from home. She had her computers in one room and stuff she's selling in another. Frankly, I think it's excessive, so I asked her to combine the rooms and allow me to have some privacy in my own bedroom. I even offered to move everything on my own so she wouldn't have to carry heavy things. She refused. I told her she's always been spoiled and didn't need 3 rooms for herself. She said it's her house and I can sleep on the couch or go to mom's, which she knows I won't do. I told her she's an asshole and a selfish prick. Though I could get to her and have been asking every day, but instead of finally agreeing, she threatened to kick me out of the house. My mom is on my side, but my dad and sister think I'm the asshole. I think she is because she doesn't have any compassion. I told my mates and they're kind of split, so I need strangers' unbiased opinion before knowing how I'm going to proceed. Am I the asshole?